Hi, my name is Mickey Boxell. I'm a developer advocate for Oracle Cloud, and I'm here with David and Tom from Grafana.
Hi, I'm David from Grafana. I'm director of user experience, and I'm also heavily involved in plugin development.
Hi, I'm Tom Wilkie. I'm a VP product for Grafana Labs. I mainly work on Prometheus, Cortex, Loki, and so on.
Great, thank you. So, would you mind telling us why observability is important in the cloud native space?
I think we've seen an explosion in complexity with cloud native applications, use of microservices, and a massive increase in volume for metrics and logs. So new techniques are needed, and this is why I think the term observability has grown. People need a framework to understand how to handle these new problems. People tend to think of observability as three things, the three pillars of observability. These are metrics, logs, and traces. And what we really want to do in Grafana is give people a single pane of glass to combine data from all of those sources in one place.
Do you mind telling us a little bit more about what Grafana is and how it solves that problem?
Grafana is both an observability platform, but also a dashboarding platform in general. And we have a variety of data sources. One of which is the Oracle Cloud Monitoring Service. And we hope it to be a very integral part into observability in general and in the cloud native space.
So, since you brought up different data sources, do you mind telling me a little bit more about the strategy for Grafana implementing data sources from different vendors?
So Grafana generally is a very open, very big tent. So we try to accommodate as much data sources as we can, and we also make quite easy to get started. We have quite good documentation on how to write your own data source and get started. And if you have trouble, I think it's also worth looking at existing data sources. Oracle also did a really good job at making their source code publicly available. So so people can see how like a well-written data source looks like, and and I think just being open to a lot of data source plugins is like a good way to also accommodate a lot of different observability use cases.
And I think, frankly, part of the reason that we chose to partner with Grafana was because of exactly what you're saying. We had customers that were already using a lot of other vendors and a lot of other tools that had telemetry data. And what we needed to do is make sure that we weren't creating yet another dashboard for them to look at. So we have a lot of resource metrics exposed with our Oracle Cloud Monitoring Service. And rather than having them stuck in their own siloed dashboard, because they were using Grafana already, they could just pull this data source information directly into there and visualize it next to things like Graphite or data from really anything else.
Yeah, completely. I think as organizations get bigger and the adoption of cloud native technologies gets wider within organizations, it's common to see more and more different technologies used to solve these problems. You know, we go into organizations and they're using 4, 5, 6 different monitoring systems. Every vendor wants to try and push their own visualization system, but it's Grafana that can bring in and unify them all in one place, and now including Oracle Cloud Monitoring Service.
And frankly, even with services that we have deployed on our Kubernetes platform, we have that exposed as a data source as well. So of course, we're pulling that into Grafana, and then so I can pair all the information that's coming in from Kubernetes and have it right next to the stuff that I have coming from our actual resources running underneath. And part of that is also why we built in so many features to the plugin. So rather than having to write queries from scratch, one of the things that we made sure functions is a query editor. And so that query editor gives you pull-down lists to choose from, so you can pick things like the resource type or the resource namespace, and then query based on something like virtual machine telemetry data or virtual cloud networking telemetry data. Additionally, we also enabled features like dimensionality. So what you can do is add additional specificity to queries. So rather than querying for every single thing in a given data center, you could choose a single availability domain within that data center and see metrics from just those services. In addition to those two features, we also made sure that templating variables were enabled as well. And what's cool about that is you can basically change a lot of graphs in mass and create new visualizations without having to go in and change 15 different graphs and then the queries that are generating those graphs individually. And I think these features are really important because we're just trying to enable users to have a very seamless experience with this information. We don't want to have people look at data and not be able to analyze it in the way they mean to. We want to provide the tools that they need to make the most of information that they already have.
Grafana definitely appreciates all the effort you put into the plugin, and I think by it being open source, I think other plugin developers can also then adopt similarly nice ways for the user experience. And I think in general, like unifying everything together under Grafana also helps with training internally, because people will have to study fewer user interfaces, while at the same time Grafana is then just not stepping on other vendors' feet basically, because they can still use the other backends basically.
And so where can people find out more information about using Grafana?
So we do have a pretty extensive documentation website where it's pretty easy to get started on how to add the data source to Grafana and like create users and manage also permissions and all that stuff. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And also, if you want to get more information about Oracle Monitoring Service, that's available on cloud.oracle.com. And in addition to that, you can also check our documentation on our Oracle GitHub page.